Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today in this video we're going to be doing the part 2 of this tutorial that we started in my last video. So you're going to be needing your bone, you'll be needing a bias, you'll be needing your fabric. What I have here is about 2 yards of fabric, so you'll be needing that. You'll be needing a lining piece, you will be needing your stay, and of course you'll be needing your pattern paper, which is what we have already drafted in my previous video. So let's go ahead and start off this tutorial. I'm going to use this pattern paper to cut out on my actual fabric right now. So guys, I realized that I lost that part of the video where I was cutting this, but we already did in the previous video. So go ahead and cut out your pattern, giving it about 1/2 inch stitching allowance all the way around. And after I was done with that, I went ahead to iron my stay to all the pieces. I ironed my stay to the actual fabrics itself, and also I went ahead to cut out my lining pieces. Also with the same thing, I ironed my stay to all of them. Make sure that you use your pattern paper to cut out these pieces and ensure that you give it 1/2 inch stitching allowance all the way around. So after doing this, the first thing I want to go ahead and do is to work on the cups. This is something we do all the time on this channel, so you guys should be used to it by now. So you're just picking one from both sides and putting them right sides facing each other, like you see me doing like this. And I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down on this cup side, and I will head over to the sewing machine and stitch it down there. So this is what I had after I was done stitching down the both parts of the cup, and I went ahead to make notches around the part that I stitched down and iron my stitches flat. So this is what we have. So the next thing I want to do now is to come back to this piece, which is the middle part, the front part of this top. So I'm measuring out the middle of this because I'm trying to get my casing for my bias. So I'm just making lines across where I want my casing and my bias to be. So just go ahead, and this is something you can do with your discretion, just looking at the picture you are following, and just go ahead and make these lines just like you see me doing like this. So after doing that, on the lines I just made, I'm just pinning my bias to all the lines following the shape of the line, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it for all the lines I made. So guys, this is what I had after pinning it down. So I'll head over to the sewing machine now and stitch this down on the sides. After I was through with that, this is what it looks like. So now it's time to attach my cups to the circle that we have for the cup. So when you are arranging your cup, make sure that you are placing it rightly. But before we actually stitch the cup to this piece, we are going to attach our ready-made cup. So for this particular tutorial, I want to make use of ready-made cup because I've noticed that all the videos I've ever done on this channel have been using wording. So as you can see, this ready-made cup is a little bit bigger than the cup I have for it. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and make a little dart here at the top. So after I was done with that, this is what it looks like for the both of them. So when you do something like this, by the time you place it inside the cup, you see that it sits perfectly inside the cup instead of it being bigger than your cup. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is to use my hemming gum. This thing I'm using right now is called hemming gum. It's used for gumming pieces of fabrics together. So I'm just placing it inside the cup, the pieces of the cup, and I'm placing my ready-made cup on top of it. So I will head over to my ironing board and I'm going to iron it together. By the time I iron it together, you see that it will come together. So this is what it looks like after I was done ironing it at the back with my hemming gum. So this is what you will have. So the next thing we want to do is to join this to our top that we made. So what we have here is, as you can see, I'm trying to arrange the cups to enter inside the circle. The thing you should notice is that the smaller part of the cup, after you've joined it together, would always go towards the middle of your corset, and the bigger part of it will go towards the side. So after doing this right now, the next thing I want to go ahead and do is to pin this cup all the way around the circle, the semicircle that we have for the cup. And as you can see me doing like this, I just pinned it down with my pin, and this is what it looks like. Can you see? So I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side and then stitch this down on the sewing machine. So guys, this is what it looks like after I was done stitching it down. So this is a simple way you can make use of your ready-made cup for your corsets. So next thing we want to do is to join the back pieces to it. So I'm just arranging them in place, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down. And the next thing we'll go ahead and do is to stitch this down on the sewing machine. So the allowance I gave this when we were cutting it was 1.5 inches. So I'm going ahead to stitch this down with 1.5 inch on the sewing machine. So after I was done with that, this is what it looks like, and you can see the back. This is what the back is looking like as well. So now the next thing I want to go ahead and do is to stitch down the lining pieces just the same way I've stitched down the actual piece. And the thing is, the only difference that is going to be between this lining piece and the actual piece is that the lining piece is not going to have a cup. So I'll just go ahead and stitch this down and be right back. So guys, this is what it looked like after I was done stitching down the lining piece. So we are going to leave this aside now, and I'm just going to trim off the top of this front piece. And as you can see, you notice that it's not looking straight anymore. So I'm just going to use my tailor's chalk to just make a nice shape here, just following the shape that I want it to have. So I'm just giving it a sweetheart neckline, because by the time we finish stitching this together, it didn't have that nice shape anymore. So this is something, as you can see, I'm doing it with my free hand. So after doing it for one side, I'll try as much as possible to make sure that the other side is the same thing as well, and I'll just go ahead and cut this part out. So now you can see how nicely it looks. It has the nice shape, and even though you put it together, everything is looking nice as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach my lining piece to it. And you know, the lining piece, I've not trimmed it out, so I'll go ahead and turn this to the other side so that we'll follow what we have on the other side to arrange this lining piece. So I'm just placing them right sides facing each other, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin everything down. And you can see that the lining pieces also have some extra allowances at the top. So just like I did for the actual piece, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. And also I'll go ahead and pin down this end here and all the other ends as well, because we'll go ahead and stitch down these ends on the sewing machine as well. So basically, I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and stitch down this top. I'll stitch down these ends and also stitch down the zipper area. The only part that we're going to be leaving is this curve. So guys, after stitching it down and making my top stitch at the top of the cup area, this is what it looks like. So this is what it looks like after I was done joining every other part of this corset together. So the middle part, as you can see, I decided not to stitch it together yet because we need to place our boning through the casing. So I always forget to place my bonings. Today I am super excited that I didn't forget. So this is the boning I'm using. It's called a plastic bone. So I'm just going to cut the top a little bit, use it to measure the casing I'm going to be placing it, and then place it inside. So I will do this for all the boning cases, and after doing that, I went ahead to iron it straight and then finish up the end of that part. So this is what it looks like. So when you iron it, it's going to come out straight. I've had a lot of people asking why theirs doesn't come out straight. If you iron your bone, it's going to come out straight. So now for our caged peplum, what I'm going to do is to measure around this side where we are going to be placing the caged peplum. And as you can see, I'm taking the measurement, and after I was done taking this measurement, I had 19 inches. So this full length for this top is supposed to be 21. So I extended my tape by 6 inches because this is an off-the-shoulder top, so it's not from the shoulder. So from the waist part where we had our curve, I just measured to know how long this peplum is going to be. So I measured it, it was 9 inches. So right now I'm just folding my piece of fabric into 2 like this, and then I'll fold it again into 4 to give us what we are going to be needing for the peplum. So ensure that you're taking your measurement from the folded part here, and then ensure that you are taking it from this top. So this top here is going to be where we take our measurements. That's the measurement around the curved part of our top, what I had there was 19 inches. So half of that is 9.5, and I added an extra half an inch. So I measured 10 there. And then on the other side as well, as you can see, I'm taking 10 inches as well. So I'm just making like a semicircle with this 10-inch, as you see me doing like this, just like the way you normally cut out a flare. But when I got towards the middle, I just connected it to meet the other point we had at the top. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out. So we just separate this circle into two here for the two parts of our peplum. So we just cut it out here again. So guys, this is what we have, and as you can see, I've cut out two pieces for this, so for the two parts of our peplum. So I'm going to go ahead and iron my hairstay to these pieces. Also, I'll go ahead and cut out my lining with the same piece and iron hairstay to it. So after I was through with that, this is what I had. So these are the two actual pieces. You can see I've ironed my hairstay to it like this, and then I've cut out my lining pieces as well and iron hairstay to the both of them. So right now, the next thing I want to go ahead and do is to work on the actual piece first. So I'm going to place my bias in the middle. The middle is actually easy to get right now because of the iron line. So this is the middle. I'll place a bias here. To get the other parts where I'm going to be placing a bias, I will have to measure them out. So what I'm basically doing is, first of all, I will go ahead and pin this down so that we know exactly where it's staying on the actual fabric. And then to get the other four, what I'm doing is from this middle part here, I'm just going to divide the measurement I have. So I'll mark one at 3.5 and then mark another one at 7 inches. So that was what I did. So I marked a point at 3.5 here and then marked another one 3.5 inches from that point. So I'll do the same thing for the other side, create the lines, and then go ahead and pin my bias to each of the lines. So after this, I'll head over to the sewing machine and stitch it down. After I was done stitching down the both pieces for the two sides, this is what I had. So it's gradually coming to life. So now we're going to stitch our lining and our actual piece together. So as you can see, I'm placing the lining on it, right sides facing each other like this, and I will head over to the sewing machine and stitch it down with about 1/2 inch stitching allowance. So after I was done with that, I went ahead to turn it over to the right side and iron it out properly, and this is what we have. So now lastly, we're going to place another bias throughout the curve we have here. And what I'm going to do is to just place it down first with my pin, as you see, and after pinning it down, I'll head over and stitch it down with my sewing machine. So guys, the peplum is ready, and I've done it for the two sides of the top. You know, we are going to be placing it on this curved side of our top. So but before we place it on the curved side of the cup, we are going to be passing boning through all the casing that we have on this top. So the first one I'm going to be passing my boning through is this curve we have all the way around. So you just pass your boning through. It's not going to be the easiest thing. You have to be very patient with it. So go ahead and pass your boning through this first curved case. And when you're through with that, you pass your boning through all the other straight lines. So I've done it for the first one, which is the curved case. Now I'll go ahead and pass my boning through all the other lines as well. Ensure that you place your boning in a way that by the time you place it inside the casing, just like you see me doing like this, you shift it out a little bit and cut it out so that you have some space at the top for you to stitch this to the actual fabric, else the boning is going to break your needle. So after I was done passing it through all the casing, you can see how it's already having that nice shape. So now the simple thing I want to go ahead and do is to place this like this place the peplum like this on the actual fabric, and I'm going to pin it all the way around. Just pin it around, and if you have done it properly, you see that it will sit perfectly. It's not going to be longer than what it's supposed to be. So this is what it looks like after I was done pinning it down. I'll go ahead and stitch this down on the sewing machine, and this is what it looks like. So can you see how nicely this is standing? It's just the caging that makes it stand like this. So I'll go ahead and do what I've done here on this other side as well, and when I'm through with that, I'll go ahead and fix my zipper to the back of this top, and that will be all for this tutorial. So after I was done with that, so you can see I've done it for the both parts. You can see how the peplum is standing very nicely. So this is what we have here. So like I said, I've already attached my zipper to the back as well, so you can see how it looks on me. So this is basically all for this tutorial. Thank you so much guys for watching. I hope that you enjoy and find it helpful. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.